Hey guys, what's going on? Daniel here. Now this is the first episode of a series that I'm starting, and the series is about things that you need to know about your WRX or STI as well, as they are quite similar in the sense. I'll be going over sort of common problems over the WRX and things to look out for. That way you can sort of minimize the headache and sort of trying to keep it as reliable as possible. So let's get straight into it. Now in this video series, each episode will actually be about 7 minutes long. That's 7. Alright, in this video series, each episode is going to be about 7 minutes long. That way I can give you enough information within an episode, keep it short as much as possible. The first one is, if you're having issues with your air conditioning, this could definitely help you out as well. I have about 180,000 kilometers on my engine at the moment, so this is about the time frame that it usually goes out for your aircon. Now, this issue. Now, what happens is my hose to my air conditioning compressor actually had puncture marks all the way through it, and even though I had it regassed, they slowly over 2 or 3 weeks they actually leaked out and got rid of all the gas, and I have to get it regassed. Now, I'll show you that in a minute. But what the problem is the hose that comes from the factory, when it's made, it's actually on a conveyor belt that has sort of pins that pull the hose around, and over time that becomes an issue, a weak point, and it slowly starts to leak out of there, and that's the issue I'm having. Now I actually would replace it myself, but it just becomes cheaper for the person that regassed my aircon before. He gave me a good deal that he'll replace the hose and regas it for cheaper than I'll just buy the hose myself, so it works out better. Otherwise I would have replaced it myself. Now let's have a look at it and I'll show you what I mean. Now as you can see, you have the patches of the liquid here. That's definitely a way to figure out if your AC is leaking. So you can see there's little puncture marks here, and also there's grime and that sort of stuff leaking from underneath here that would give it away. So as you can see, just swipe my finger and there's all that. So that's definitely something you can look at, and right next to the battery tray there's a lot of that grime. As you can see, just looks like oil, but it's actually the gas from the from there. So that's definitely a way to try and have a look at that issue. The second problem that is quite common actually is the rocker cover gaskets, or some people like to call them the valve cover gaskets. That likes to leak a lot. I've had that issue, or I'm having that issue. When it was leaking, it was hitting the exhaust and it was just blowing smoke everywhere, and it wasn't good. And so I had to replace the driver's side one, which seems to be good. I still have to do the passenger side one. I've just never had the chance to actually replace it. It just does take some time to do so. Once I install it, I'll actually be doing a how-to video on that. I'll probably link it up in the cards just above me there. So if you're interested in one of those in that video, make sure to go watch that video when it comes out. Now, as I said before, I have 180,000 kilometers on my car at the moment, stock engine, and usually the rock cover gaskets, they like to leak around 170,000 kilometers. That's what I've realized, and I spoke to the previous owner, and that's what he said around that time. That's when he pulled out. If your rock cover gaskets or valve cover gaskets were leaking, let me know in the comments down below what kilometers that you have, or miles that you had when it started leaking. So that's definitely a measure that you want to do to keep your car reliable, because after that, once it starts leaking, obviously it eats a lot of oil, which it likes oil anyway, but once it starts leaking oil, you gotta check it quite often so you don't run the engine dry. Now, a way you can look that if it's leaking, if you look under the car and there's a bit of oil there, or maybe if you stick your hand underneath the engine, sort of go underneath it, along the sides, either side, then you can see if it's quite oily, you'll most likely have a rocker cover gasket leak or a valve cover gasket leak. Now I'll also show you quickly whereabouts you can look for the rocker cover gasket leak. That way you can understand where to look out. Because my rocker cover gaskets were leaking, or valve cover gaskets were leaking, which is down below. That's your valve cover right there, and then underneath, right underneath, it was actually leaking. So that's definitely a thing you have to look for, because it was leaking, it was hitting the exhaust, and then it was burning on the actual exhaust, Now, the third problem is very, very common. It's going to happen eventually to your car. It's just a matter of when. Is the hoses for your engine. That's sort of going all through the engine bay. They're brittle. They break. If you're modifying your car, you move the intercooler. You're pulling hoses and you're snapping things. I did that, and it was not fun. So things are gonna break, especially. So if you are modifying anything in your engine bay, I seriously recommend you get a upgrade kit for your hoses. It's definitely a must, because as I said, I broke mine, quite a few of them, to be honest. You can get the hoses in a kit form online for your year model WRX or STI, and they come with a whole kit to replace all the hoses. So I seriously recommend you do that. That way especially if you're modifying it, otherwise you're just breaking hoses and it's just a pain. And the OEM ones are very expensive as well. So I just got some tape that I used to seal them up temporarily. It's been about 5 months now, but I'll get to it eventually. If you're enjoying today's content, make sure to let me know in the comments down below, and also tell me if you have any issues with your WRX or STI, and I can maybe put in a future episode to help out other people. Now check out this video over here. This is going to be the next episode of this series. When I upload it, I'll be putting it here, and also check out one of these videos over here. I'm sure you will enjoy it.